Hi, I'm Haley House Jameson, Associate Professor of Dance at Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches, Texas. This is We Are Not Our Own, a Dance for Change. This project began as an inquiry about what caring for our oceans and the creatures in it could teach us about human flourishing, and specifically, what could observing dolphins, whales, and other oceanic mammals teach us about how to better care for each other as humans, as well as our planet. I was particularly interested in how dolphins behave, um, recognize members of their groups as well as non-members, how they take care of each other in feeding, birthing, and protection. And these behaviors reminded me of how people can and should behave in various societies across the world. According to many, psychologists today, we're seeing unprecedented numbers of disconnected people, deaths of despair, skyrocketing anxiety and depression. And I wanted to find a way to portray dolphin identity, movement patterns, and protective behaviors as a metaphor for healing the human condition. According to civil rights leader John Lewis, he said, there is an old African proverb, when you pray, you move your feet. As a nation, if we care for the beloved community, we must move our feet, our hands, our hearts, our resources to build and not to tear down, to reconcile, not to divide, to love and not to hate, to heal and not to kill. In the final analysis, we are one people, one family, one house. I encountered Dr. Jason Brook, a dolphin researcher and professor of biology at Stephen F. Austin State University during a faculty senate meeting. He mentioned being a dolphin expert, and I was in awe of his particular emphasis and research areas. I've been fascinated with marine mammals for many years, and I watched one of his lectures online. This inspired me to create a new choreographic work and I shared my ideas with him. Dr. Brook was more than happy to share his work in the form of sound files and assisting me in creating a sound score for my piece. He teaches about dolphins and whales' behaviors, and he shares that when they hunt for food, they feed one another by corralling fish into each other's mouths. They coordinate to care for the young. They fight predators as a group. And while they each have their own identity or name, they're always working towards the survival of a group. Yes, they have their own identity. And they have found this through his research. In terms, it's called a signature whistle. Dolphins can actually recognize each other through this use of acoustic calls that dolphins actually invent in the first year of life in much the same way that humans use names. And when a dolphin hears a signature whistle, it pictures the dolphin that owns that whistle. This is actually the first time a non-human has been shown to use an innovated and learned acoustic label the way that humans use names. I was also fortunate to work with Dr. Paige Stevens down in Bermuda at the Dolphin Quest Lab, and I was introduced to her as one of Dr. Brooks' graduate students. She has since earned her PhD and is officially Dr. Paige Stevens. Her work was in the effects of human-made noise on dolphin cognition. I was stunned at how important this work is in terms of thriving ecology and the dolphin communities. Dr. Brook shared that down the road, he and his lab will be investigating how commercial and industrial chemicals might actually affect cueing in dolphins and their natural ability to communicate with one another. I'd like to tell you a little bit about the dolphins that I was able to observe at the Dolphin Quest Lab in Bermuda. First, there's Callie, Cooper, and Ceres. Callie, I'll tell you about in just a moment. Actually, she has a birthmark. You can see a little freckle. She is the mother of Cooper. And when looking at movement patterns, I noticed that she tended to sway and bob her head up and down. Um, she was always looking out and very curious. Cirrus was the oldest dolphin. She's 50, and I'll tell you a little bit about her in a moment. Cooper is 14 years old, and he has a small sway, much like his mom. He loved to pick on his mom, and I actually observed her discipline him, utilizing their um, tails, teeth, etc. Callie and Cirrus have been friends for a very long time. I call them dolphin besties. Cirrus is a 50-year-old dolphin. As I said, Callie and Cirrus are best friends. And that is, of course, my interpretation of their relationship. Cirrus was actually a Navy dolphin and lost an eye, as you can see here in the photo, during her years of service with the Navy. Next are my beauties. That's what I named them. We have Devon, Marley, Brighton, and Juniper. Uh, Devon was very clean with very little scarring. Often scars were a way to see that dolphins had been disciplined by their parents, or that they had gotten into scrapes, literally. But Devon was very controlled, very pretty, and very what in human terms I would say prim and proper. Marley was a 15-year-old dolphin, very teenager. She loved to show her belly, loved affection, and I was fortunate enough to assist with Marley in simulating veterinary care. It is a way to train the dolphins at the facility in order to take blood samples and birthing care. So it was a wonderful experience. She is an incredibly calm dolphin, and you kind of can see that in her facial expression there. Brighton loved to twirl, was very much about being perfect. Again, this is my human interpretation. She is Henson's mom, a very pretty and very playful dolphin. Now, Miss Juniper. Juniper is 4 years old. There in the center, and she was very much about look at me, look at me. She would toss her head. She loves her own name and utilized her signature whistle many times. Loved to hear the sound of her own name. Again, this is my interpretation of their behaviors. Next, we have the babies, the youngest dolphins here at the Dolphin Quest Research Facility. We have Henson, Juniper, Reef, and Eli, or Ellie. Henson is a young male. He is very energetic and pleasing. He's very boisterous and energetic. He loves to jump and chase the other young dolphins around the pools and in each of the areas in which the dolphins live and swim. We have Juniper, as I shared before, very much loved the sound of her own name, very boisterous and friendly. Then we have Ellie or Eli, very excitable. She would do what we would call in a human behavior a hair flip. She would toss her head back and forth, and the dolphin trainers called her a cheater because she was very smart and often would figure out how to get the fish that she wanted without having to do the behavior that the dolphin trainers had asked or prompted her to do. So she's very, very smart and very sneaky in order to get what it was that she wanted. And then we have Reef. You can see a little bit down here in the corner, you that Reef is tilting her head. Reef was giving me the side eye quite frequently. She's a 6-year-old dolphin, highly scarred, very the dolphin trainers described her as fearless. She crashes into things, so she had lots and lots of scars on her body, but she is a fearless dolphin, very, very inquisitive. And like I said, she tended what in terms of human behavior, I said she gave me the side eye because she was constantly swimming past me and tilting her head so that she could see me out of the water. But if I looked directly at her, she would literally turn her head back and swim on. It was both fascinating and quite humorous. As I mentioned before, I was able to interact with the dolphins, do certain dolphin behavior training exercises, including simulating veterinary care. And these are a few pictures of those interactions. Another picture of some of the interactions, and as you can see, Reef is clocking me behind my work with, I think that's Callie. No, Marley. This is perhaps my favorite interaction, as I was able to learn several dolphin communication commands and have the dolphin respond to those hand signals. And it was just a tremendous experience interacting with them one-on-one. This experience has been eye-opening, to say the least. And this is a picture of two of the dancers representing two of the dolphins. Each one of my dancers represented each dolphin that I was able to look at, to study. Specifically, these two represented Henson and Cooper, the two male dolphins that I was able to study. And while I did not see distinct movement patterns in the same way that I would see in humans, I discovered that these dolphins indeed did have distinct personalities that went along with their identifiers, and was able to create a dance that hopefully represented their signature whistles. So I assigned movement motifs to each dolphin's whistle, which was their identifier or their name that they had given themselves. And so each movement motif represented each dolphin, since each dancer represented each of these real dolphins from Bermuda. I will link the dance in this PowerPoint, but also I will attach it to the show files, and you can watch the dance for yourself. Thank you so much, and I hope that you have a wonderful conference.